What if I told you that somewhere, a government official looked at a simple yo-yo and saw a threat to national security? It sounds like a joke, but it's a chillingly real example of how the line between order and absurdity is often drawn by a complete lunatic with a pen. We're not talking about weapons or dangerous substances. We are about to expose the 50 most baffling, hilarious, and outright dumbest bans on the most harmless everyday objects ever conceived. This is where common sense goes to die. 1. America's most delicious felony, the Kinder Surprise Egg. The U.S. has a long-standing ban on this chocolate treat because of a 1938 law forbidding non-nutritive objects inside candy. The FDA essentially believes American children are incapable of understanding they shouldn't eat the small plastic toy. This has led to the absurd reality of people being fined thousands at the border for smuggling these dangerous sweets. The rest of the world figured it out, but in the land of the free, your chocolate egg remains forbidden. Is this a government protecting its kids, or the nanny state gone completely wild? 2. That little cardboard tree air freshener, dangling from a rearview mirror and smelling vaguely of pine or new car, is not just a questionable style choice. In many places, it's an illegal one. In numerous U.S. states, it's against the law to hang anything from your rearview mirror. The official crime? Obstruction of view. Yes, that 3-inch piece of scented paper is considered a dangerous impediment to your vision in a world of massive GPS screens and phone mounts. It's a classic pretext law, a minor violation that gives law enforcement a convenient reason to pull you over for a closer look, turning a cheap air freshener into an expensive traffic stop. 3. The color yellow. In Malaysia, for a time, it was the color of sedition. In 2016, the government issued a ban on wearing yellow clothing because protesters demanding electoral reform had adopted it as their signature color. The state decided the easiest way to crush a movement was to outlaw its branding. Suddenly, a yellow t-shirt wasn't a fashion choice. It was a political statement that could get you arrested. It's a level of petty control that is both terrifying and deeply silly. 4. Dancing. The simple, joyous act of moving your body to music was famously illegal in the town of Elmore City, Oklahoma, for nearly a century. The ban was enacted in the late 1800s, a product of a moral panic that declared dancing a sinful act leading to societal decay. This wasn't just a forgotten rule, it was actively enforced. It remained in place until 1980, when a group of high school students had to formally challenge the town's leadership just to hold a junior prom, forcing a legal battle over a fundamental form of human expression. 5. The fortune cookie, that crunchy oracle of the American Chinese restaurant, has been deemed a serious security risk. In certain high-security prisons, these cookies are considered contraband. The official rationale is that the small paper fortunes tucked inside could be used by inmates to pass coded, untraceable messages. Imagine a warden trying to decipher, "You will soon embark on a new journey." Is that an escape plan or just a vague platitude? The potential for paranoia is endless. 6. A simple balloon, the very symbol of a birthday party, is now treated as an environmental crime in a growing number of jurisdictions. That joyful act of releasing a bunch of them into the sky, once a staple of weddings and memorials, is now illegal in places like California, Florida, and Australia. The reason? Gravity. What goes up must come down, and environmental agencies got tired of finding deflated latex on their beaches and in the stomachs of sea turtles. This has turned a symbol of celebration into a finable offense, forcing us to confront the awkward truth that our most uplifting gestures often end as non-biodegradable garbage. 7. The simple clothesline, a symbol of fresh laundry and frugal living, is viewed as an eyesore by a powerful American institution, the Homeowners Association. Across countless suburban communities, these HOAs have explicit rules banning residents from air-drying their clothes outside. The rationale is a hilarious cocktail of class anxiety and property value obsession, disguised as maintaining neighborhood aesthetics. In the land of the free, you are often not free to use the sun and the wind to dry your underwear if it offends your neighbor's delicate sensibilities. 8. We've all heard the phrase, the greatest thing since sliced bread. But for a brief period during World War II, the US government declared sliced bread a menace. In 1943, pre-sliced loaves were banned, officially to conserve wax paper and steel for the war effort. The public outcry was swift and furious. The government backpedaled so fast that the ban was repealed in less than 2 months. The lesson was clear. Even during a global conflict, you do not mess with an American's right to a convenient sandwich. 9. Switzerland is a country obsessed with order, and that obsession extends all the way into the bathroom. In many apartment buildings, it is technically against the rules to flush your toilet after 10 p.m. This isn't some quirky old law, it's a modern noise control regulation designed to ensure residents have a peaceful night's sleep. While you're unlikely to be dragged away in handcuffs, the rule is enforced by landlords and neighbors. It creates an incredibly awkward late-night dilemma, forcing a choice between common decency and personal hygiene. The Swiss have essentially legislated the "if it's yellow, let it mellow" concept directly into their housing contracts. 10. To the totalitarian regime of North Korea, a simple pair of blue jeans is not clothing. It's a symbol of American imperialism. The state has an official ban on blue jeans, along with certain hairstyles and piercings, as part of its crusade against capitalist culture. Other trousers are fine, just not the iconic denim kind that represents freedom and individualism. In North Korea, your pants are a political statement, and choosing the wrong fabric is a sign of a corrupted mind. 11. For decades, it was the unnoticed and unthanked servant of our consumer whims. Then, almost overnight, the flimsy plastic shopping bag was recast as public enemy number 1. A global memo apparently went out, declaring a holy war on this symbol of convenience and rebranding it as an apocalyptic menace. The punchline to this grand piece of greenwashing theater is that we are now sold thicker, so-called reusable, plastic bags, often from the same factories, turning a formerly free convenience into a branded paid-for chore in the name of symbolic progress. 12. Remember when getting a B- felt like a personal attack? Well, armies of educational consultants decided you were right, and they blamed the weapon used to deliver the blow, the teacher's red pen. It has been officially reclassified as an instrument of psychological warfare. They decided the color red was too aggressive, its feedback amounting to emotional shrapnel for a child's delicate psyche. This forced a switch to the nurturing embrace of purple or green, ensuring that a C- is now delivered with the therapeutic gentleness of a therapy session. 13. In the Australian state of Victoria, one of the easiest ways to break the law on a Sunday morning is to simply clean up a mess. A strict noise ordinance forbids the use of your vacuum cleaner before 9 a.m. on weekends, turning a tool of instant gratification into an instrument of legally mandated patience. So if you spill a box of cereal at 8:55, the law requires you, the vacuum, and the scattered remnants of your breakfast to sit in a legally mandated standoff for 5 long minutes. It is a perfect small-scale demonstration of bureaucracy's triumph over common sense. 14. An umbrella is a simple tool for staying dry. But in Monza, Italy, it can be a source of equestrian terror. A bizarrely specific local ordinance makes it illegal for a man to open an umbrella in the presence of a horse. This ancient rule was designed to prevent the sudden whoosh from spooking the animals, and for some reason, it only applies to men. Why? Perhaps the lawmakers believed women opened their umbrellas with a gentle grace that horses found acceptable. The world may never know. 15. The wheeled suitcase, an invention that saved the backs of 1 billion travelers, was almost banished from the city of Venice. Officials grew so tired of the incessant clack-clack-clack of hard plastic wheels echoing through the historic streets that they drafted a law to ban them, proposing fines of up to 500 euros. The plan was to only allow luggage with quiet, air-filled tires. The proposal was eventually dropped after a global outcry, but for a moment the city was ready to declare war on the very concept of convenient luggage. 16. The selfie stick, that infamous wand of narcissism, was once an inescapable plague upon every tourist destination. Then the world fought back. Places like Disney parks, major museums, and music festivals banned the device entirely. The reasons were twofold. They were incredibly annoying, and they were a genuine safety hazard, a telescopic metal rod swung around in a dense crowd. It's a rare and beautiful moment when something universally loathed is also so impractical that it gets itself banned. 17. To the untrained eye, it's a simple grocery list: eggs, toilet paper, shaving cream. But in dozens of American towns around Halloween, it's the toolkit for suburban mayhem. To combat Mischief Night, municipalities have enacted bans on minors possessing these items, turning basic household goods into circumstantial evidence for a future crime. It's a legal framework that forces every cashier to eye a teenager buying eggs with the same suspicion they'd reserve for someone trying to buy a single stick of dynamite. 18. Governments worldwide looked at the warm, inviting glow that for over a century was the very symbol of a bright idea, and decided to extinguish it. In a global push for efficiency, the classic incandescent light bulb was banned, forcing us all into a cold, new relationship with the soulless, flickering ambiance of early-gen LEDs. It was an officially mandated breakup with a specific quality of light, a cold, hard assault on our collective nostalgia and our right to a cozy living room. 19. Ever feel like a criminal just for buying art supplies? In cities like Chicago, that feeling is state-sanctioned. To fight graffiti, they treat a simple can of spray paint with the same suspicion as a brick of plutonium. The art supplies are kept behind plexiglass, requiring an ID check for purchase. The law operates on the cynical assumption that your plan to repaint a patio chair is just a flimsy cover story for a secret life of crime, turning a trip to the hardware store into a low-stakes police interrogation. 20. You're at a food festival, holding a steaming container of deliciousness. Your meal is getting cold as you reach for something, anything to eat it with. But there is no fork, at least not a plastic one. The humble plastic fork, once the unsung hero of countless takeout meals, has been effectively assassinated. In a sweeping act of continental inconvenience, the EU and Canada outlawed a whole suite of single-use plastics, launching a frustrating new era of dining on the go with flimsy wooden sporks that taste faintly, but unmistakably, of splinters and disappointment. 21. That glorious buy one get one free sticker, a sacred symbol of savvy shopping, is actually illegal in some parts of the world. In Belgium, for example, these BOGO deals were banned for years under laws designed to protect smaller businesses from predatory pricing by retail giants. The government essentially outlawed the concept of a good deal in the name of fairness. It's a noble idea that results in the very real experience of paying for both of your frozen pizzas like a chump. 22. Naming your own child is a fairly basic human right, wouldn't you say? Not in Denmark. The Danish government maintains an official list of around 7,000 pre-approved baby names, and if you want to name your kid something that isn't on the list, you need to get special permission from the government. Forget creative spellings or unique titles. Your bundle of joy's name has to pass a bureaucratic review first. It's the ultimate nanny state, acting as your baby's first editor. 23. Dodgeball, that cherished schoolyard ritual of sanctioned violence and character-building humiliation, has been declared a dangerous activity. School districts across the United States have banned the game, citing concerns over it being a form of legalized bullying that encourages aggression. We've officially entered an era where the act of throwing a big, squishy red ball at someone is considered too traumatic for children to handle. What's the next great schoolyard game to get the axe? 24. The classic image of a single goldfish swimming in a small round bowl is now considered a portrait of animal cruelty. In cities like Rome, it's illegal to keep a goldfish in a traditional bowl, as it's believed to be detrimental to the fish's health and happiness. You are legally required to provide your pet fish with a proper rectangular tank. It's a surprisingly progressive law that forces us to confront the fact that for decades, our idea of a starter pet was actually a form of slow, scenic torture. 25. Marmite, the famously divisive yeast spread, comes with its own slogan, "Love it or hate it." For a while, the government of Denmark officially chose to hate it. The country banned the sale of Marmite because of a law restricting foods fortified with added vitamins. The beloved British import was treated like an unregulated nutritional supplement and pulled from shelves. It's a perfect example of a law so rigid it can't tell the difference between a dangerous substance and a piece of toast. 26. That romantic movie scene where the hero is surrounded by a charming flock of birds in a beautiful city square? Yeah, try that today, and you'll get a ticket for feeding the pigeons. Cities worldwide have successfully rebranded these birds from charming urban fauna to rats with wings. It's a cold, calculated war on a bird that went from being a symbol of peace to a public nuisance that must be architecturally and biologically repelled, complete with trained hawks acting as feathered bouncers. 27. The simple act of putting your hands together to show appreciation, clapping, has been deemed too problematic in some settings. A number of universities and student unions, particularly in the UK, have voted to ban audible clapping at events, encouraging the use of silent jazz hands instead. The official line is that the loud noise can be triggering for students with anxiety or sensory issues. We have successfully engineered a world where the sound of applause is considered a microaggression. 28. That popular camouflage pattern you see on everything from cargo shorts to designer jackets? In a surprising number of countries like Barbados and Jamaica, it's not a fashion statement, it's illegal attire. The law strictly reserves the wearing of any camouflage print for the nation's military personnel. This isn't just a suggestion. Tourists have been fined and even arrested for the crime of wearing camo. It's a rule that operates on the bizarre assumption that a vacationer in baggy shorts could be mistaken for a highly trained soldier, turning a simple packing decision into a potential threat to national security. 29. Those sneakers with the little wheel in the heel, known as Heelys, offered kids a glorious, hybrid form of transportation for about 5 minutes. Then, they were banned from practically every mall, school, and supermarket in existence. These shoes turned every kid into an unpredictable, low-to-the-ground liability nightmare. The ban wasn't about suppressing fun. It was a desperate act of self-preservation by store managers who were tired of children rocketing silently into displays of canned peaches. 30. That clear plastic water bottle you grab from the cooler without a second thought is now forbidden territory in many places. Entire towns, college campuses, and U.S. national parks have outlawed the sale of single-use plastic water bottles to combat waste. This creates the modern paradox of having to buy a branded, reusable plastic bottle, often shipped from halfway across the world, just so you can fill it up at a water fountain. 31. For nearly 40 years, one of America's most beloved arcade pastimes was considered a public menace on par with organized crime. Starting in the 1940s, major cities like New York and Los Angeles banned pinball machines. The official reason? They were considered games of chance, not skill, and were therefore a form of illegal gambling that corrupted the youth. New York's Mayor LaGuardia waged a righteous war on them, famously leading raids and smashing machines with a sledgehammer for the press. It wasn't until 1976 that the ban was finally overturned, when a pinball wizard named Roger Sharp proved in a courtroom that it was, in fact, a game of skill. 32. The hoodie, a garment practically synonymous with comfort and casual style, has been officially blacklisted in numerous public spaces. Malls, banks, and schools across the US and UK have implemented no hoodies policies, banning patrons from wearing the hood up. This isn't a fashion critique. It's a piece of security theater based on the assumption that anyone concealing their head is automatically a criminal. The humble hoodie has become a victim of profiling, turning a cozy piece of cotton into a symbol of suspicion. 33. A simple yo-yo, one of the most timeless and harmless toys ever invented, was once blamed for a natural disaster. In the 1930s, the city of Damascus, Syria, officially banned yo-yos because community leaders became convinced that their up and down motion was angering the heavens and preventing rain from falling. This wasn't a joke. It was a serious policy to combat a drought. When your best solution for a water crisis is to arrest a child's toy, you may have bigger problems. 34. That calm, reassuring voice from your GPS that warns you about upcoming speed cameras? In France, that helpful feature is illegal. The government passed a law that bans any device capable of alerting drivers to the specific locations of speed traps. The system isn't allowed to save you. It's only permitted to warn you that you're entering a danger zone where a camera might be. It's a brilliant piece of legislation designed to ensure that a tool created to provide information gives you just enough to make you paranoid, but not enough to be truly useful. 35. There are few things that terrify suburban city councils more than teenage fashion. So when a generation of kids started letting their pants hang low, they didn't just write angry letters. They wrote laws against saggy pants. Cities across the country waged a righteous war on visible underwear, turning the concept of the fashion police into actual ticket-writing police. They dedicated real resources, real officers, and real court time to this moral crusade, a glorious testament to a government with way too much time on its hands. 36. High heels are strictly forbidden from being worn at most of Greece's most famous ancient sites, including the Acropolis. This isn't an issue of comfort or a weirdly specific dress code. The ban exists because the sharp, pointed heels exert immense pressure, puncturing and damaging the very monuments that people have come to see. Officials were forced to choose between preserving 2,500-year-old history and accommodating the footwear choices of stiletto-wearing tourists. 37. The ability to recline your airplane seat, a function built into the chair itself, has been effectively banned by numerous airlines, not directly, but by prohibiting the use of devices like the knee defender, a gadget that passengers can attach to the seat in front of them to block it from reclining. So, they allow a function to exist, then outlaw the countermeasure, ensuring that the passive-aggressive war for 2 inches of personal space continues to be fought at 30,000 feet. It's a masterclass in weaponized discomfort. 38. Those festive Christmas lights that bring cheer to a dark winter? In many neighborhoods, they come with a strict set of rules that would make even Scrooge blush. Homeowners. Associations frequently dictate the exact dates you're allowed to display them, often threatening fines if your inflatable Santa is still on the lawn a minute past January 15th. It's a level of micromanagement so intense that it can turn a symbol of holiday joy into a source of passive-aggressive legal threats. 39. Homemade mayonnaise, a culinary staple, is treated like a biological weapon in many commercial kitchens. Health codes in parts of the US and Canada are so strict about the risks of salmonella from raw eggs that they effectively ban restaurants from making their own mayo from scratch. They can only use the pasteurized, factory-sealed stuff. So that delicious, house-made aioli you're enjoying? It might just be a form of delicious contraband. 40. The electric scooter appeared in our cities almost overnight, a utopian promise of clean, convenient urban transport. It took about a week for that dream to die. After a chaotic period of them being abandoned on sidewalks, crashing into pedestrians, and cluttering every street corner, cities around the world brought down the ban hammer. Paris, Madrid, and dozens of others have either completely outlawed them or restricted them so heavily they might as well be. They went from the future of transport to digital tumbleweeds in record time. 41. That classic pink plastic flamingo, the wonderfully kitschy icon of American front lawns, is often treated as a declaration of war in suburbia. Countless homeowners associations have explicit bylaws banning them, viewing these harmless plastic birds as a grave threat to property values and neighborhood uniformity. It's a legally enforced war on bad taste, where your choice of lawn ornament, a splash of defiant, tacky joy in a sea of beige conformity, can earn you a certified letter from a lawyer. 42. In the charming, pristine seaside town of Carmel, California, buying an ice cream cone comes with a peculiar condition. Thanks to a famously unrepealed law, It is technically illegal to eat ice cream while standing still on the sidewalk. You can eat it inside, you can eat it while walking, but stopping to savor it is a municipal offense. This is a town so committed to its almost fairy tale aesthetic that even a stationary moment of simple pleasure is subject to regulation. 43. The garbage disposal, that screaming, metal-toothed goblin that lives under your sink, is a marvel of American convenience. But in much of Europe, it's an illegal alien. Many countries and entire cities have banned them, not because they're dangerous, but because their ancient sewer systems simply can't handle a pulverized buffet of potato peels. It's a stark reminder that the American dream of grinding up your problems and washing them away doesn't always translate well to a continent built on centuries-old pipes. 44. Canada takes baby safety so seriously that it's the only country in the world with a complete ban on baby walkers. Since 2004, it's been illegal to sell, import, or even own one. Getting caught with this wheeled contraption could land you a fine of up to 100,000 Canadian dollars or 6 months in jail. You'd think it was smuggled plutonium, not a toy for a toddler. What's the most insane safety rule you've ever had to follow? 45. In 1999, the National Security Agency, America's top-secret electronic surveillance organization, identified a new and terrifying threat to national security: the Furby. These fuzzy, talking toys were officially banned from all NSA premises out of concern that the big-eyed, gibberish-spouting creatures could listen in on classified discussions and repeat state secrets. The hilarious irony: Furbies had zero ability to record or transmit audio. Their learning was just a clever programming trick. The world's most sophisticated codebreakers were officially spooked by a children's toy that couldn't keep a secret even if it wanted to. 46. Singapore didn't just dislike chewing gum, it declared total war on it. In 1992, the country banned its import and sale to keep public spaces clean after vandals used gum to jam subway train doors. The government's solution wasn't better cleaning, but complete prohibition. For years, the only legal way to get gum was a doctor's prescription for therapeutic purposes. The rules have eased slightly, but Singapore remains a stark reminder of a world without bubblegum. 47. The backyard barbecue grill, that quintessential symbol of summer, freedom, and slightly burnt burgers, is considered a dangerous weapon in the eyes of countless building managers and city officials. In thousands of apartment buildings and condos, grilling on your own private balcony is strictly forbidden. The official reason is always fire safety, a reasonable-sounding excuse that masks a deeper, more bureaucratic truth. It's about insurance liability and avoiding complaints. This has led to a sad modern reality where a cherished cultural ritual is outlawed, forcing aspiring grill masters to use a soulless, plug-in electric grill that produces all the sizzle of a desk lamp. 48. The gentle slap of rubber on pavement is the universal sound of summer relaxation. But if you're driving in Spain or France, that sound could be followed by the siren of a police car, because the flip-flops making it are considered a public menace behind the wheel. Local laws effectively turn your laziest footwear choice into a potential traffic violation, operating on the deeply insulting assumption that your relaxed state of mind is a threat to public safety. This bizarre piece of legislation turns a casual drive to the beach into a high-stakes gamble with the traffic police. 49. Jigsaw puzzles are a quiet, meditative pastime. Or, if you lived in a certain British town in the 1960s, they were an addictive menace. The local council briefly banned the sale of puzzles with more than 10 pieces to children, fearing the activity was so engrossing it would cause a craze and distract them from schoolwork. It was the 1960s equivalent of today's moral panics about screen time, treating a 500-piece landscape like it was the gateway to a life of ruin. Okay, we've covered 49 points, and only the grand finale remains. But before we get to number 50, it's time for the final verdict. In our opinion, the award for the most mind-blowingly dumb ban on today's list goes to the Syrian ban on yo-yos. Simply because blaming a children's toy for causing a drought is a breathtaking leap of anti-logic. It's a level of superstitious insanity that makes other bad laws on this list look like well-reasoned legal treatises. Do you agree with our verdict? Or did another point deserve this dubious honor? Let us know in the comments what you think. And now, for our final number. 50. In France, the sanctity of national cuisine is a matter of state security, and the greatest threat is apparently ketchup. In 2011, the government drastically limited its use in school cafeterias, allowing it only with French fries and just once a week. The official reason was to promote healthy eating and protect traditional French recipes from American influence. Is protecting a nation's cuisine a noble cause? Or should kids just be allowed to enjoy their fries in peace? So, from chocolate eggs to dancing, we've seen that bureaucracy has an infinite capacity for weaponizing stupidity against our daily lives. The real takeaway isn't that these laws are dumb, it's that someone, somewhere, passionately defended them. If you were given the power to ban one, completely harmless. What would you choose? We want to hear your genius plans in the comments. And if you enjoy watching common sense get body slammed by bureaucracy, do the right thing and subscribe. You won't want to miss what we expose next.